the star of this melodramatic life story. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. I grew up in a small town in California. My dad worked in construction, and my mom stayed home to take care of me and my 5 younger siblings. Money was always tight for my family, but it never mattered as long as we had each other. Sorry we couldn't get you any gifts this year, kiddo.
That's okay. You guys are all I need.
But things took a wild turn when my dad fell off a ladder and hurt his back, unable to work anymore. It hurt to watch my parents struggle so much with the bills. I wanted to help them, but I didn't know how.
Lemonade, 25 cents.
Eventually, we had to sell things like our radio and our TV to get by. To entertain the family, my siblings and I started putting on shows every night after dinner, and I was always the star. When I was 11, my middle school put on a production of the musical Annie, and I got cast as the lead role. It helped that I had torn up clothes to look the part. On the last night of the show, there was a talent agent waiting for me backstage who wanted me to audition in LA. My parents were extremely supportive, and they took me there the next day. Seeing all the fancy mansions and designer stores, I couldn't help imagining a better life for my family. So I got in, and after years of scoring tons of commercials and TV shows, I finally got the lead role in the teen action movie series. I played a half-robot girl fighting aliens on Earth. The movie was such a big hit, we could finally afford to move to Beverly Hills like I always dreamed. But my favorite part about shooting RoboGirl was Ashley, my stunt double. Her family was in the circus, so she could do insane flips and tricks like it was nothing. Ashley was like the twin I always wanted. We were inseparable the entire summer of filming. Sometimes we even switched clothes to prank people around the studio. For once, Ashley put on big sunglasses and did a whole backstage interview pretending to be me. In my free time, I like to play with dolls and practice witchcraft. The producers were furious, but I thought it was hilarious.
You know the rules, Jane. The audience can't know you don't do your own stunts. That means no one knows about Ashley.
It was unfair, but I couldn't risk losing this job and making my family lose everything, so I agreed. Ashley swore she didn't mind, but I still felt bad. When summer ended, it was time to start at my brand new Beverly Hills High School. It was intimidating seeing everyone in their fancy cars and designer clothes. I mean, sure, I wore Prada shoes and got dropped off in a limo, but in my head, I was still the girl being made fun of for wearing torn-up clothes. It was especially scary starting as a sophomore, but thankfully, Ashley went to the same high school, so I figured I would just hang out with her all the time. Unfortunately, things went a little different than I expected. Hey, Jane, over here! Apparently, word got out that I was coming to this school, and there was a herd of kids rushing to my locker as soon as I walked in. Everyone was super nice to me, but it was too much. At the cafeteria, kids lined up to get me to sit at their table and wouldn't leave me alone. I took off running like crazy and lost one of my shoes in the process. As soon as I rounded a corner, I felt a pair of hands grab me by the shoulders and yank me into the alley. I was about to scream when I realized it was Ashley. It felt like she had pulled me into a different universe. There was classical music playing and a group of kids sitting in a circle holding the same book. Welcome to the literature club. I spotted the duct tape and started taping my foot when I heard someone.
Is playing down to earth the new trend?
Excuse me?
You're interrupting Pride and Prejudice.
Relax, Arthur. She's new. I looked back at the guy who was definitely not happy to see me. Even though he was scowling at me, I couldn't focus on anything besides his perfect hair and stunning green eyes. Sorry, what's this? It's a club. The best part is that they don't care about teen movies like RoboGirl. Exactly. I was thrilled to hear about this place, where people would call me by my real name instead of my character's name. I snuck off to Lit Club every day that week, but no matter how hard I tried to be nice, Arthur still seemed to hate me. Hey, Arthur. I finally caught up on Pride and Prejudice.
We moved on to Catcher in the Rye.
I used to be liked by everyone, so it was driving me crazy. Luckily, one weekend I had a huge award show to distract me. I was nominated for a Teen Queen Award, and my stylist picked out the most stunning dress for me to wear. It was my first time being up for an award, so when they announced the Best Actress category, I was shaking in my seat, running through my speech in my head in case I somehow won. And the winner is Jane Robinson! They did not just say my name, did they? The audience went crazy as I stumbled up to the stage in a daze. Thank you so much for this Teen Queen Award. First, I want to thank my family. Suddenly, the audience gasped, and I looked up right as a giant spotlight was about to land on my head. A security guard dove in front of me and threw me out of the way just in time. There was screaming and chaos everywhere, so I threw off my high heels and sprinted to the emergency exit. Was that an accident or an attack? I didn't have time to think, so I ran as far away from the theater as I could. Suddenly, I saw a pair of headlights speed up beside me.
Jane?
Arthur? I caught my breath and walked up to the car.
I was heading back home and saw you running barefoot and...
I was still freaked out about the spotlight incident, so I jumped in his car before he could finish. Just drive, and I'll explain later.
You're safe now. Breathe.
I told Arthur everything, and he soon pulled into a parking spot with a giant neon diner sign.
Come on, pancakes fix everything.
I was pretty sure pancakes couldn't fix whatever just happened, but I was starving.
We'll get 2 short stacks, 2 toasts, and 2 hot chocolates. seconds. Extra whip.
So, do you want to explain why you're being so nice to me all of a sudden? Something in his intense green eyes softened.
I hate everyone at Beverly Hills High. Not just you. No one knows this, but I'm there on a scholarship. My parents work 24/7 to give me a good education, and I'm surrounded by kids who don't realize how good they have it.
My family's the same way.
I'm pretty sure your dress could pay my tuition.
I meant we used to be. I told him everything about my dad's accident and growing up in our tiny apartment, and the more we talked, the more I could feel him opening up.
I did know who you were, by the way, when you first came to the club. I've always wanted to write movies, but didn't want to be surrounded by A-list snobs. Sorry.
It's okay. I feel the same way sometimes. You're different than I thought you would be, you know?
So are you.
Arthur dropped me off, and after an hour of my parents hugging me and crying, I got in bed. But every time I tried to fall asleep, I saw those piercing green eyes. The next morning, I woke up to about 1,000,000 texts from my producer asking me to show up at his office. When I got there, Ashley was already seated with huffy, red eyes. What's going on?
Last night wasn't an accident.
So it was an attack.
I told you, all the best actors get crazy threats. But we can't be sure this guy won't try and go after you again.
But I'm confused. Why is Ashley here?
We can't let you do big public events like red carpets, award shows for a while. Ashley will go to your place. You two were able to fool us, and I'm sure you can fool some more interviewers.
Ashley stared up at me like I had betrayed her and stormed out of the room.
She's a trained stunt woman. She can take care of herself. But if something happens to you, Robo-Girl is over.
My head was spinning. This was so unfair to Ashley, but there was nothing I could do. Without Robo-Girl, my family would lose everything. I couldn't let that happen. I tried to contact Ashley, but she wouldn't call me or text me back either. And she didn't come to the literature club as well. Arthur noticed I was upset and pulled me aside. I confided in him and told him everything through my gross puddles of tears and snot.
I'll get her to meet with you, okay? Don't worry about it.
He pulled me in for a hug and I squeezed him tight.
Jane? The bell. It's time to get to class.
Oh, sorry. Whatever Arthur said worked because Ashley agreed to meet me under the Hollywood sign that night. I'm so sorry, Ashley. They didn't give me a choice. I've missed out on these awards and stuff for years, and now I only get to go if I pretend to be you and put my life in danger? As soon as the producers see that there's no real threat, you won't have to go anymore. And I'll beg them to reveal that you're Robo-Girl too. Maybe even get a part in the next movie. Robo-Twins! Jinx! Then do I get full access to your designer closet? Done. I had my best friend back and things were starting to go really well with Arthur. I really couldn't complain. Besides the fact that someone crazy was out there to attack me. A couple of weeks later, I was scheduled to appear at a movie premiere, and it was time to put the studio's plan into action. Ashley took one of my favorite outfits, and we even practiced walking and talking the same. No pictures, please. No pictures, please. A little higher. No pictures, please. Perfect. I invited Arthur over to watch the red carpet videos at home with my family. We were all super nervous.
Ooh, Jane's boyfriend is here.
Shut up, bro. Arthur turned away, but I could tell he was blushing. Honestly, so was I. Look, there she is.
Ashley's so brave for this.
It was kind of creepy seeing myself on the red carpet, even though it wasn't really me. She was doing such a good job. The night went perfectly. Ashley just needed to make it through the month and it would go back to normal. I hated the idea of Ashley getting hurt because of me. For the next month, having Arthur over to watch Ashley on the red carpet became kind of a tradition. When it was over, watching him play with my little brothers and sisters totally melted my heart. Once my sister asked him,
Is it true you have a pet turtle?
Yeah, her name is Shelly.
please don't get him started. He's obsessed with her. He wants to make her a TikTok star.
That's silly.
You're just jealous because she'll be more famous than you.
Are you kidding? She'll never be more famous than me. You have to have actual talent to become a star. My sister almost peed her pants from laughing. I walked Arthur to his car to say goodbye, and as I turned to leave, he spun me around and kissed me on the cheek. I was lying in bed the next day, playing it over and over again in my head, when I got a call from one of my producers.
Since there's been no more attacks, you're safe to go to events and parties again. We've told Ashley she doesn't have to continue this anymore.
And I remembered my promise to Ashley. I was so caught up with my crush on Arthur, I almost forgot to ask about getting her a role. I begged the producer, and they agreed to talk to the writers about a Robo-Twin. That weekend, my parents were at Disneyland with my siblings, so I asked Arthur to come over to help me come up with a fun way to give Ashley the good news. And 10 minutes later, I heard a knock at the door. That was fast. I opened the door to find a hooded figure standing at the door. They raised their hand and knocked me out. I woke up in the creepiest warehouse I'd ever seen, with my hands tied to a chair. I noticed the hooded figure doing wild flips all over the room. I only knew one person with skills like that. Ashley? She dropped her hood. That's right. Why are you doing this? The producers called me yesterday and told me I could stop going out pretending to be you. But the thing is, I didn't want to stop. I tried getting rid of you for good with that spotlight incident, but it didn't work. I gave the producers the idea to have me go out as you, and now that I've got the taste of fame, I'm never giving it up.
You did that? But I talked to the studio about Robo-Twins.
Oh, please. Cut the act, Jane. You loved the spotlight. I heard everything when you butt dialed me. She'll never be more famous than me. She has no talent, blah, blah, blah. OMG, she heard us talk about Arthur's dumb turtle. But she would never believe that. I'm just as good as you, and everyone's going to know it. I've proven you're replaceable. Who do you think they'll call after this? After what? Jane pulled the remote out of her pocket and pressed a button, turning on a spotlight. This time, there won't be any security guards to push you out of the way. I couldn't believe this was really happening. But instead of a loud crash, I suddenly heard the door burst open.
There she is!
Arthur stood there, surrounded by police officers. They rushed up and grabbed Ashley, throwing her in handcuffs.
I pulled up right as Ashley was throwing you into the van. I followed you all the way here and called the police.
Arthur carried me out to the ambulance and rushed me to the hospital. Ashley was arrested, and I spent 3 days in the hospital waiting for my head to get better. Arthur visited me every day after school. You know, I was thinking about how crazy Ashley was.